Welcome to my channel, Joel.
Thank you, Hilda.
Oh, I accidentally touched you.
No.
Hey, Hilda here. I bring you experts, experiences, and epic adventures to boost your health. Today, I came to Polyface Farms to talk to Joel Salatin. He is the prolific author, the farmer at the forefront of regenerative agriculture and sustainable, healthy living. And I've interviewed him before for the Wise Traditions podcast, but I was like, I have to speak to this man, and right now. He recently wrote some controversial blog posts about the coronavirus. He even said he wanted the coronavirus, and I had to come for myself to find out what he was talking about. And what he was talking about was actually the fact that we can all support our immune system naturally. There are things we can be proactive about to take kind of the reins back on our health instead of just cowering in fear in our homes. So I hope this conversation encourages you. I know it did me. Check it out. So you guys, as you know, we're in the middle of this virus. I haven't really been on YouTube for a little bit because the whole world felt like it was shifting underneath my feet. So what did I do? I tried to remain calm and then connect with people that I love, like Sally Fallon-Morell and Joel Salatin. And I was like, you guys can bring words of wisdom to a world that feels like it's turned upside down. So here I am, no pressure, Joel.
Okay. In 10 minutes, we're gonna rewrite the ship.
Well, maybe not that quickly, but I do feel like, just like you said a minute ago, actually, desperate times call for desperate measures. So what are some of the things that we can do during this time to build our health and help those around us? We're going to help ourselves and help others. What would you say would be some good first steps, maybe?
Sure. Well, you know, building the immune system is not rocket science. I mean, there are some pretty basics. I mean, you can get in the weeds if you want to on some things. There are some basics. I mean, one is don't eat junk food. So you know, be thinking about the foundation of your fuel, your body's fuel system. Sleep. We don't sleep enough. We don't. You should be in bed by 11 o'clock.
Oh, dude, and you're talking to me. I used to stay up till 12, 1, working.
Yeah.
Now I get to bed kind of more farmer's hours, I gotta say. I get
Uh-huh.
to bed like around between 9 and 10, and I get up between 6 and 7, and I feel so good.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, go to bed early. I said you should be in bed by 11. I'm usually in bed by 10.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, sleep. You know, get 8.5, 9. 9 hours is not bad. Sleep. Water, hydration. Hydration is it's not spoken about enough.
No.
And one of the reasons, I think, is because water tastes so bad in the city. So invest in a good water, some sort of a water purification distiller or something, and get some good water. But hydrate. Our bodies are primarily fluid. They're water.
I know people who just get dizzy or get headaches, and
Right.
they think, oh, I guess I've been on the computer too long. Maybe they're actually dehydrated.
Absolutely, that's a real normal sign. Another one is just is this kind of spiritual emotional, but forgive. We are so worked up about things. Our culture, our soundbite culture, our
Cancel culture, they call it now, where you or like that person said something bad, I'm never going to listen to them again.
Right. Yeah, even though you might agree with 90% of what they say, one false phrase and off with their heads. This kind of
Has
stuff.
this happened to you?
Yes, it absolutely has happened
I
to me.
thought so.
Yeah, and so you can be getting a standing ovation 1 minute and make one phrase, wrong the next thing, 6 people walk out. So forgive me. We live in a vitriolic, vengeful. There is a lot of this partisanship in our, and I'm not for everybody, just all for one or one for all. But at the same time, we need to appreciate that in our relationships and our families and you got to let it go. You just can't let that eat you up, and we burn up a lot of immunological function nursing discord.
Isn't that interesting? So it kind of weakens us.
That's right.
Literally, it weakens us physically when we're emotionally or spiritually tied up in knots.
Well, it does. It's like dirty fuel in an automobile. It's like carbon on the valves. It's gunk. It's gunk in your life, gunk in your engine, and it doesn't run very well.
What do you do to degunk?
To degunk, Well, I come from a Christian tradition, and
Yeah.
so I pray, and I find that for me, it's not easy, but you have to realize things. Stephen Covey talks about this in Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, about only concentrating on things that you have an influence over, and I can't make you do something or think something or expect something or perceive something. All I can do is govern my response to whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay. Ultimately, you can't make somebody do what you want them to do, and so what you deal with then is your response to them not doing what you thought they were going to do, and eventually, since you can't make them, you have to let it go.
You do.
You just have to let it go.
Isn't that funny? We just so want to control other people, and they should have said this or they should have done that, and I've been done wrong, you know?
Yeah.
And you think you're holding them to account when you're actually hurting yourself.
You're actually putting a great big shackle of enslavement around your own functionality by nursing that battle, that war.
Gotta let it go.
There are really great, sacred, righteous things to be angry about. Don't nurse the anger and resentment and whatever of things that you can't control.
Because tell me if this isn't true. If I'm so focused on something that you did badly toward me or to someone else, I'm missing the beauty of another moment because I'm so fixated on that.
Well, absolutely. You're denying your chance to appreciate. You're denying your chance to appreciate something. Again, it's happened to me numerous times. I go on this long thing and everybody's clapping and it's all wonderful, and then you have one little misstep and suddenly you're off with his head.
Yeah.
And my goodness, I mean, I could be really angry. I think that parents that raise kids vegan, I think it's abusive to kids. I do. Now, but do I sit here and I'd like to just no, I don't.
That wouldn't get you anywhere.
It doesn't get me. I can't change it anyway.
No.
You know what I can do? I can invite them out to the farm. I can show them the animals, and I do that all the time. And they come back, and guess what? They say, wow, we never knew this. The pruning and the grass and the soil building and this. We didn't know that. And so part of this is just assuming that the other person, they're doing the best they know too. I heard a guy say once, and this was one of the most profound statements. It's always stuck with me. He said, "It dawned on me that when I became an adult, when I became an adult, I became an adult the day that I realized that mom and dad did the best they knew. Were they perfect? No. Did they do some stuff that I would never do or didn't think was right? Absolutely. But the day I realized they did the best they knew for what they knew and let it go, so that was the day I became an adult." I think there's a lot of strength in that.
Absolutely. Now I want to go back to what you said a moment ago about response. And so in this relationship with other people, we can only control our own response.
Right.
How have you been responding to this new situation we all find ourselves in, where we're socially distancing and some people are out of work and a lot of people are sick or scared? Tell me how you personally are responding, you here on the farm maybe too.
Well, for one thing, there's not a better place to go through this than on the farm here. I mean, we're obviously we're not on the beaten path.
No.
But we're open for business. People are coming, and we're ministering that way, which is very, very heartening to see people we've never seen before come and get good local food. That's really cool. But amazingly, the bees, the birds, and the birds, the bees, and the blossoms, they don't know there's a pandemic, and the pear tree is in blossom, the cows are calving, the chicks arrived, the grass is green. There's a tremendous calming, in just being here in this environment. And one reason why I'm encouraging our customers and other people to come, and it's okay. Take a walk, take a hike. It's fine. You know, we're here. But as far as the business is concerned, of course, our restaurants have tanked. They're kaput. And they break. It breaks my heart because many of these artisanal chefs and restaurants are the most hospitable, courteous, big-hearted, gregarious kind of. They're in the hospitality business, right? Yeah. And to see them suffer like this is just it's just tragic. But our retail sales have tripled.
Oh, so people are suddenly interested in real local food. Why is that, do you think?
Well, I think it's because we actually had an inventory, a stockpile, and we can respond to a market way faster than just-in-time inventorying at Walmart. You know, the entire food chain industry, as you know, has gone to just-in-time inventorying. It used to be that they had warehouses of stuff,
right?
You know, that were nearby or back in the storeroom, you know, out for 3-4 months. And with all of our, you know, electronic technology and our ability to track and SKU numbers and all this stuff, we've dropped that down to now where many things are whatever the operative term is just in time, but what it means is that your local Walmart doesn't have a storeroom of stuff.
No.
They've got to get it from way over there, which has to get, and they're just doing just in time over there. So the bottom line is, when the local supermarket shelves went empty, the food was here.
Oh.
And so suddenly we become the supplier because we can respond in 24 hours.
Well, and this just makes my heart beat faster because I'm like, this is amazing because your food is real, authentic food.
Right.
You know, it's beyond organic.
Right.
It's food that's sustainably raised, regenerative ag, all the words you could come up with. Doesn't matter what the label is.
Right,
we know it's real and it's really nourishing.
Yeah, that's right.
So suddenly you're finding people coming your way.
Yeah.
That makes me so happy.
And part of it is simply logistics. It's not the quality of the food necessarily. It's just we're the place they can come because the supermarket doesn't have it because it's on a supply chain that has such a tight inventory that it's going to take them 3 months to tool up and respond. We can respond in 24 hours.
So are people kind of bulking up now because they're concerned about the future?
Yes, for sure. People are coming in when they come out to the farm. Instead of buying $50 worth of stuff, they're buying $250 worth of stuff.
Right.
So yeah, I think if there's one thing that we're going to get coming out of this, it's going to be, wow, I never want to get caught without 3 or 4 weeks worth of food in the house ever again.
Some reserves, yeah.
So, some reserves. For some people, it'll be for the first time they're going to buy a freezer. You know, for some people, I mean, we know seed orders. All the seed companies are just slammed. In fact, some of them actually on their websites they've closed down for 3 days just to catch up on seed orders.
Oh my gosh.
So we know this summer there's going to be gardens like you've never seen in your life, which is very, very exciting.
It's wonderful.
It's absolutely wonderful. We have people coming here this week that they're so tired of the difficulty of getting eggs in the store. They're coming here to buy 3 or 4 pullets, laying hens for their own backyard to have their own eggs. I mean, so yeah, it's really penetrating into the consciousness. I mean, I read an article the other day, a lady, and she that was the last part of the article about the trends in the grocery business, and she said, "I'm never going to go back to the supermarket."
Really?
Yeah, and she's not alone. She's not alone. So I think that there's going to be some shaking going on, and there's going to be some real positive shaking. You know, look, Hilda, nobody makes life changes when times are good.
That's true. You kind of just coast along, right?
And generally, people make life changes when they're in financial stress, emotional stress, physical health stress. I mean, very few people when everything's going great say, I'm going to quit drinking Coke and start drinking kombucha.
There's no reason. There's no spark to get that going.
There's no spark. So it takes a shaking. It takes a disruption. to to move things that way. And so, for all of its negatives, and I don't want anybody to get sick. I don't want anybody to die. I don't want any of this. But for all the negatives in this, there's this wonderful, positive kind of aha moment that's coming into thousands and thousands of people's lives, moving them to a more authentic way to live. And that's ultimately very positive.
Closer to where their food comes from, more connected to their food, more connected to nature, which all of us need, I think. Absolutely. I've seen more people walking in my urban neighborhood than ever before now because they've got nothing else to do.
Right.
Which I'm grateful for in a way, right?
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
But can you speak to the people who are really tied up in knots, who are really living fearfully right now? Because I know a lot of us are. You already talked about like letting things go when we are harboring resentment or unforgiveness. What can we do to let fear go?
Yeah, well, fear is a natural, it's absolutely a natural thing, and it's a good thing. I mean, I'm afraid of things, okay? I'm afraid to bungee jump. That's probably a good thing, okay? I'm afraid to cut a tree that's leaning the wrong way if I don't get some ropes on it or something. I mean, so fear.
Legitimate fear, yeah.
Absolutely. I don't want to go out on the pond with a boat with a hole in it. Yeah, those are good fears, all right? But as important as good fear is, paranoia, fear about every ghost possible that you can imagine, is very unhealthy. And so I think in this coronavirus, it's important to realize, again, we're getting more information by the day, but just some things that have come out in the last week that we now know. There's 2 professors at Stanford that have debunked this 2 to 4% mortality rate. They say it's more like 0.06, which is a magnitude different than 2 to 4. And the reason they came up with that was because we don't know how many people have been exposed to the virus or have had it that are asymptomatic.
Right.
And so what they did, they took the numbers. It's really interesting. So from Wuhan, when Wuhan shut down and the U.S. flew Americans out of Wuhan back to the U.S., and they went into 14-day quarantine on Army bases in California, whatever. All those were checked. Every one of them was checked, which actually gives you a much better statistical demographic of who actually had it.
Yeah.
Who was walking around with it and didn't know it.
Did they have it?
They did. Okay. Well, some did.
Okay, some did.
Many did. So they took that figure, which was actually more representative of what the actual figure was in Wuhan, and extrapolated that, and that's where they came up with these new numbers.
Okay.
And so that's important to realize. It's also important to realize, I was an old newspaper boy back, before I came to the farm full time, and I know the incentive to get the scoop. And I'll tell you, when there's something going on like this, everybody needs to understand that every media organization is just scrambling.
Yeah, hustling.
To make the most sensational, the newest big headline to get the scoop. Yeah. And that's a media bias that just is. It just is. There's nothing you can do about it. It just is. I was guilty of it, okay? And so I know what it is. Your sensation sells news.
Right,
humdrum doesn't sell.
No,
right?
no. You're like, everybody's good here.
Yeah, we're all good. That's the news of the day. Who's going to tune into that, right?
Nobody. But if they hear numbers on the rise in the U.S., more cases here than anywhere else, which they're starting to say.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, okay, a lot of people are infected, but it's not that more people are dying. I mean, it's very curious. I'm not an infectious disease specialist, nor are you, but I think it's important to keep some sane, perspectives on this.
Yes. Actually, it was interesting. This week, we had a local healthcare professional from our local hospital. Interestingly, here in Augusta County and Stanton and Waynesboro, we haven't had a single one yet. Not a single one yet. So everybody's sitting there wondering, why haven't we had a single one?
Yeah.
And so she was in the other day to buy some food, and so I talked to her about it, and she said the I don't know how many, but a healthy number of the medical staff at our local hospital says, well, it's because it came through here in January. And we started thinking back, and we realized that we had in our family staff, we had 8-10 people that had were down for a week with severe respiratory things in January, and they're all saying, well, it all came through here in January, so our area's immune. We're done with it. We've already been exposed. We're done with it, and that's why we're not getting it, because the tests don't show whether you've had it. They only show if it's active. You only got a 14-day window. And then she was saying that there's false positives, false negatives, and there's a lot of subjectivity to this.
Yeah.
There just is. And so the more I've found, and then this week, there was a neurologist who wrote an article. I read a doctor, and he said that it collapsed in Wuhan not because of social distancing and the lockdown, it's because of herd immunity, and that's a biological function of nature. Psychologists talk about the 100th monkey syndrome. When the 99th monkey or the 100th monkey figures out whatever, where the food is, all the monkeys know. It's like and we see it. For example, we got a new set of chicks in this week, 1,000 chicks. I put them out of the boxes, so I got 1,000 chicks out in the brooder. We have little nipples, the water, and they have to peck at the nipple to let water out. And within, I don't know, less than 5 minutes, one just, he was just poking around and he found the little nipple. Well, as soon as he got water out of it, that little chick, started pecking out. Here came water. Well, then another joined it. Within 30 minutes, every chick knew where the water was.
Wow, that's so
Nobody
cool.
told them. Nobody, and that's this whole kind of herd thing. And the fact is that Stanford showed that in the bacterial this community, there's a language.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know that it's English or Spanish. I don't know what it is. It's bacterialese, I guess.
It's a silent communication.
It is. They're actually communicating, and so the herd immunity thing is that in any population in any dimension, whether it's physical, mental, think how fast the world realized the Earth wasn't flat when Columbus came home.
Mm-hmm.
That sort of thing. Okay,
yeah.
Something that had been axiomatic for centuries worldwide was no longer
Changed.
the truth in less than a year. And so that's what this is. It's a lot of dimensions of herd immunity, but he was saying that Wuhan got ahead of it not because of politics or social or anything else. It was because these things do develop herd immunity.
And I heard you say earlier too that when we encounter an obstacle like a virus in our health, it's a little bit like working out. Like it makes our bodies stronger. The stronger for confronting that.
Yes.
So hopefully, once we get past all this, we'll all be the stronger for it.
That's right. The exercise, and that's what concerns me about all of the the sterilizers and the antimicrobial. We know that's what happened with antimicrobial soap.
Yeah.
That's why we don't use antimicrobial soap.
Oh, because it makes the microbes stronger.
Yes,
the ones that last.
Yeah, and you get the hand wipes that says kills 99.9%. Well, that means 0.1% survives.
Yeah.
And when you're dealing with microbes that can go through 5 generations in a day, their adaptability is beyond our comprehension.
So that little 0.1 microbe has his family, and then his great-grandchildren, and his great-great-grandchildren, and suddenly they're taking over.
In a day.
Oh my gosh.
In a day. I mean, this isn't, we think of generations in our terms, right? Because that's what we're familiar with.
Yeah.
But no, I'm talking about in a day. And so that's why you just can't stay ahead of it. So that's why people think I'm nuts, but I say, look, instead of sticking my hand in a sanitizer, I'm gonna stick my hands in a bucket of compost.
Yeah.
Okay? Because I want that habitat of good microbes crawling around me.
I think of, you can run but you can't hide. In other words, we could try to run away from all these microbes all the time, or we could turn around and embrace them in a way, right? Because most of them are good, you've said.
Yes, they are. They're like 98% are good. Like again, I go to the chicks. We got chicks, it's spring. In the industry, they spray, Clorox, they sanitize, they sterilize these houses between batches. We don't. We let bedding build way up. We turn it to aerate it so it'll grow microbes in there, and the chicks get in there and they scratch it all around, and it grows bugs in there that stimulates them to want to eat them. And so instead of cleaning it out, we essentially put the chicks on a compost pile, and they stay healthy because there is a habitat in which this battle between good bugs and bad bugs is won by the good bugs.
Whereas otherwise, if you're sterilizing all the time, a bad bug comes in and makes everybody sick.
Right.
Is that right?
There's no habitat for good bugs to control the bad bugs. This is why animals on concrete and all these kind of these factory farm situations
so sad.
are not healthy. So they have to come in with other vaccines, antibiotics, whatever, to counteract the fact that there's no healthy battleground of good bugs.
So we're going to keep in mind the 3 tips you gave at the top, which were to eat good food, avoid junk food, get plenty of sleep, forgive our neighbor or maybe even our spouse.
Yeah, that's right.
And then this last bit,
hydrate,
and diversifying our microbiome by getting outside, getting dirty. I'm going to go wiggle around in the compost pile myself.
Yeah.
So do you have any parting words, just encouragement you might give us, Joel, during this really shaky, scary time?
Well, it is scary, and I would just say that ultimately taking personal responsibility for both our emotional response and our physical response is the beginning of growing up, becoming mature. And if you're waiting for the government to take care of it, or the pharmaceutical company to take care of it, or whatever, the vaccine, if you're waiting for somebody else to ensure your health, you're going to be waiting a long time. And so the ultimate empowering thing individually is I'm not gonna blame anybody if I get it or don't get it. No blame here. Nobody's to blame. It's here. How am I going to respond? Am I going to cower in fear and act like a victim, or am I going to embrace what I know can actually give me a better foundation, give me a better immunological function, a more vibrant, diversified microbiome, better fuel for a better, running my better engine? We can either put our energy, our emotional equity in investing in fear and cowering, or we can invest it in this whole kind of proactive, personally responsible direction. And I'll take that any time of day. Even if it's no better, it's a better way to live.
I like that so much. So I'm going to touch you again. And thank you for being on my channel. I really appreciate it, Joel.
Thank you. It's great to be with you.
Thanks for watching, you guys. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this conversation. Subscribe so you don't miss a thing. And follow me on Instagram, where I'm always talking about ways to boost your health. Love you lots. Talk to you soon.